Hi, my name's John. If you're here watching my videos, tap the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. If you like my videos, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications for new videos. And at the end of the video, you can hit the icon in the center and also subscribe to my channel. Okay, hi everybody. Today I'm going to give you a step-by-step on how I set up my Lee Loadmaster. In 4 steps. I deprime on my brass first. That way I don't have to worry about depriming, and then the second, in the second round, all I do is deprime it. I use the deprimer to line up the case, and then the second one that sizes the case, I don't use the deprimer in it. So anyway, first off, I pull the flipper valve out of there, and if you'll look at it, it has I don't know if you can see that, it has it angled on the one side, so when it doesn't hang on, it's got a little bit of grease on it. You should always have a little bit of grease on there. So it catches the shell plate better. Okay, so on 45 ACP, I use the 2L shell plate. That's the one that comes for the 45 ACP. Okay, and what you do is you set your case in there and you run it up into the first die, which would be the deprimer, and I use the deprimer for different cases. It's oh, I can't remember what you call it, but anyway, then I move it to the next stage. Okay, on the next stage will be your sizing die. What Lee recommends is you run your shell plate all the way to the top, and then you run your die down till it touches. Okay, once it touches, let me loosen that off a little bit. Once it touches, okay, and it just touches, it doesn't, you don't screw it down tight. Once it touches, then you screw it 1/8 of a round more. Okay, and then you tighten your lock nut. Okay, so then I take my case, push it back up in there. Okay, make sure it's in there right, or you'll break your shell plate. Okay, and then you get everything set up. And the reason I take the flipper valve out is so I can rotate it on my own. It doesn't really rotate to the right station without it, but you can guide it with your fingers. Okay, and as far as the primer goes, there's things that you can do to your primer to set it up. I've really had no problem with it. It's always worked for me. Okay, now that one is sized, so I go ahead and put it back in here, and I move it to the next stage, which is the flaring die. Okay, the flaring and charging die. Okay, so what I do is I put it in there just like it would if it was if I was loading a load. Okay, and this one was already set previous to this, where it would charge the die correctly. And basically what you do is you set it up where when your shell's pushed all the way up, this hole is right over the hole that charges the shell itself. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not with all these other dies in the way. This one right here, okay, right here, okay, and then it once it's in there right, it should charge the die. Let me get that all set up and I'll come back to you. It's kind of a pain in the arse, but I think I've screwed that down in there too far to begin with anyway. All right, it's being stubborn. I haven't set it up in a while, so it's just being stubborn. Okay, now if you look at this, when I pull it down, okay, it's down on the bottom where it's supposed to be, okay? When you look at that, your charging hole goes right down through your die and it charges the case, okay? Now when I bring the handle up, okay, you see it moving up, and then the disc comes into place. Okay, you look in your loading manual, and I'm using Lee for this load. I'm not telling you what the load is because I'm not going to be responsible for damage to your gun. But Lee will tell you what disc to use, and depending on the grains and the powder that you're using, you'll do this to the one that you want to use. And you know, my charge is for my guns and my guns only. Okay, now with the Lee Loadmaster on this charger, you get a chain, okay, and this chain goes through this little hole right here in the shell plate holder, the base of the reloader, okay, and then you run it up through the top, through the powder charger, okay, right up here in this little flapper right here. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to give that a little bit of slack so it actually holds tension with the spring on this chain, okay? And if you look at that, there's a spring down here, right here, that when I push it all the way down, see, it kind of pulls it back up. Okay, what that does is that ensures that my powder drop closes fully. That way it gets a full charge in your disc here. Okay, now when I operate this, pushes up. See, the chain goes up right here, and you get a full charge, then it comes back down. Go up, full charge, back down. Okay. Now what that does in the long run also is it flares the case. You're not going to see it on here, but it flares the case where when you go to put your bullet in it, it sits in there just enough to hold it straight, where if you're using lead bullets like I'm going to right now, it doesn't scrape the lead off the bullet, but it will fit in there, and it's flared just enough where it will let that bullet seat. Now I could actually go probably a little more, and I probably will. Let's go ahead and do that, because I like mine to have a little more flare. People say that you shouldn't flare your cases too much, and I tell people that say that you've never loaded lead bullets. So go up, make sure I'm okay. That's gonna flare it. Okay, that's got a good flare on it. Now that bullet will sit in there, and it's not gonna scrape the metal off it's not gonna scrape the lead off the bullet. It's not gonna scrape the edge of the bullet. And there, and that way it won't go wobbling down through the barrel of the gun, leaving all kinds of lead behind. And I'll go set this chain back up, run it through the hole, all the holes that it's got to go through, and it's got a simple lock. You thread it through one hole. Well, if I can get it through there. You thread it through the one hole, let it have some slack. That way it pulls it back a little bit, and then you thread it through this other hole. Okay, and you hold it where it is, and you pull it tight. That way it doesn't come loose. See, it holds it in there. It holds it in there where it doesn't come off. It stays the same every time. You know, it's always got the slack in it. Okay, that's it for the powder charge. Now, like I said, on your powder charge, you look in your book. I use the Lee, and for the ammo that you're using, and I'm not even gonna, well, I'll show you what I'm using here. You look on your book, and it will actually show you right here, auto disc. That's what this is. This is a Lee auto disc. I don't know if that's going to focus, but it tells you what size to use for the load that you're running. Okay, there's all the Lee auto disc. Okay, and what I'm running, you know, it says, so say, okay, it tells you to load with a .49 auto disc. Okay, well, on this disc, let me pull this out if I can. On this disc, I have to pull the chain off again. Go figure. On this disc, you can pull it out while it's on here. Okay, on this disc, there's little numbers on each little hole. Okay, .49, .53. Okay, what you do is you try the one that, you know, it tells you to use, the 49. Say it tells you to use the 49, and you try that, and it's at the bottom end of your load. Okay, and you're wanting to load a pretty stout load because you want it to mimic your self-defense loads. That way you get, you know, if you're shooting basically a gun with the same kick as what your self-defense loads are going to kick, then you're going to get better practice. And that's the way I see it. Now, other people may tell you, you're wasting powder. Here's my theory. If you're going to shoot a light load, then, you know, don't get a light load for your defense, because if you're going to shoot a light load for practice and then shoot a heavier load for defense, how's that going to help you? Now, that's my question. How's that going to help you? It's not. It's not going to help you because you're not going to shoot accurately, because you don't have the same charge behind the bullet as you do with the load that you're going to shoot for self-defense. If you want a self-defense load, it needs to be the same as the load you're shooting. It needs to kick just as hard, otherwise you're not going to be accurate. Okay, and that's that for that. You are set up with your charge die. Okay, I already know, you know, I've already checked and I already know what my load is going to be in here, so therefore I don't have to set this up anymore. I've told you how to, you know, you pull this out and you get the number out of your book. It's in all the books, not just Lee's. The auto disc is in all the books. So now what you do is when you charge your die, okay, or when you charge your case with powder, you know, you'll put your load of powder in there and then you pull it off. What you want to do is you want to weigh this case before you charge it. Okay, zero your scale, then you charge your case. You weigh it, and that tells you how many grains of powder you have in there. If that's basically where you want to have it, you know, load you 4 or 5, go test fire them, see how they shoot in your gun. You know, that's how you do that. Okay, the next step will be on the next video. See you later.